Hello, everyone. It is, I think, day 5. Is it day 5 of plans? My God, I am losing all track of time. I think it
Yeah,
is,
it's
yeah.
day 5. Yeah, it's day 5.
Day 5 of plans, and I'm here with Caedrel. You're not working today. You're just at home right now.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, today's my off day. I'm back on tomorrow.
Well, it's great to be able to do this with you today. We were just discussing, it's 4 a.m. where I am, and what time is it there?
It is just coming up to 1 p.m.
Yeah. Well, time
So yeah,
time
those
zones are
time
fun.
zones.
Yes. Anyway, this interview is brought to you by Alienware, but let's get into it. So first off, congratulations! You seem to be the new favorite personality on the broadcast, as voted by Reddit. I mean,
Yeah.
what's it been like for you? Because I know you had done some broadcast work before this, but obviously this is like, I think, a little higher profile.
Yeah, I just think everything's gone kind of fast. I think the first cast I did was for 10 minutes. They asked a pro player, and I did it in Spring Split, and it was fun. People said it was really cool. I didn't really think much of it, and then Trevor asked me if I wanted to do some of the EU Masters, and I was like, yeah, sure, could be fun. I mean, we didn't make Worlds, so I don't have anything else to do. And then I did the EU Masters finals, and I was like, holy shit, that was pretty fun as well. Then he asked me to come back for the LEC playoffs, all this stuff, and then I came back again for Worlds Analyst Desk, and then I started getting casting as well. So it's gone from 0 to 100 real quick,
Yeah.
but it's been so fun. I'm a bit tired. It's been like 6, 7 weeks in a row, but yeah, keep going.
I mean, so had you ever considered doing casting or broadcast stuff, or had you just always been like heads down gamer, gonna go pro, et cetera, et cetera? Did you ever consider doing anything like this before?
No, not until recently. It's like, yeah, when I joined the LEC 2 years ago, and I've been playing ever since. And we finished like 7th, we finished 8th, we were 3rd place at the end of the summer, and then we finished 7th. And then I've just been focusing on trying to make playoffs, make worlds. And then when this opportunity arose, I kind of thought like, well, I've got nothing else to do, I may as well.
Yeah.
And then it just turned into something which I found really fun. So now it's sort of like an eye opener for me, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I guess I obviously this is perhaps best saved for later in the interview, but let's just get into it. Is there a world in which you're like, hey, I seem to be having a lot of success doing this,
Yeah.
and wow, because well, a lot of people, fans, think that being a pro player is great. There's obviously some great moments for it, but a lot of the time, being a pro player sucks. So, is there any part of you that's like, man, this is tempting. It's going to be hard for me to decide if I want to pursue this instead of being a pro player.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of disadvantages to being a pro player, which people aren't really aware of, but it's definitely something that's crossed my mind. I would be lying if I said it didn't because of the amount of messages I got. Like my tweets getting like 10,000 likes, my DMs, like hundreds of people DMing me, like, go retire, be a caster, and could be sort of looked at as toxic, could be looked at as positive. So just different ways to interpret it. But for me, I joined the LEC as like a dream. I really wanted to be a pro. Ever since I was a kid, I was a pro in Halo 3 when I was 15. I was trying to climb super high in the arena in World of Warcraft. So it's always been like a competitive drive that keeps me going. So if I was to retire right now, I think my current thought process is if I was to retire right now and look back at my career, I would be disappointed in myself the rest of my life, as sad as that seems. So I definitely want to keep giving it a shot. Even though this caster thing is so big and everyone really enjoys it, and even I enjoy it so much, it's still something I'm skeptical about as to whether I want to do it yet. I haven't made my mind up, but I still think being a pro is where my heart is,
Yeah.
and I still think I have really, really good talent and skill in doing it. So
Well, so all I'm going to say is I look at the LEC broadcast and I notice that they have several Americans on it. And I don't know if you know this, but over in the LCS, we're always looking for talent, on all kinds of talent, pro players, broadcasts, et cetera, et cetera. So if you do decide to work on the broadcast, just know that, I mean, I can't officially offer you anything because I have no role or power within Riot, but we'd love to have you. So,
oh well, that would be crazy. Actually, there's never been a European caster in any LCS. I remember that back in the days, there was like some like D-Man was there a couple times
yeah.
back in the days, but there's never been like a permanent one.
Yeah,
But
there's never been like the LCS broadcast has never had one. And again, I have no ability to say this at all or any power to make this happen, but I just I obviously I think it'd be fun to have even more folks join up on the broadcast. So who knows?
yeah,
Anyway, so it's been cool. I mean, you said that you've been getting tons of messages, some people telling you to retire, which normally I think EU fans sending those messages usually means something else as an insult whenever they send that. But
Yeah.
for you, I mean, looking at like the Reddit threads and all that stuff, what is that experience like?
I don't know. I came off the broadcast. I finished the cast of the day with Trevor. We had like 2 games, but then we had 2 tiebreakers. So I was like, oh, 4 games. That's pretty fun. Just kind of learning as I was going along. And then I did check my phone in between the games. And obviously, my phone had insane amount of notifications. And I only had like 5 minutes in between games. So I couldn't really check it. So then when I got changed and I was in the taxi going home to Reddit, and I was number 1 on Reddit, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, that's so random out of nowhere. And then somehow the post got deleted, apparently. Something
Yes,
was wrong with it.
this is a
And
frequent.
I was like,
That'll happen a lot as a personality. Reddit will delete many of your threads. Anyway, sorry, continue.
yeah, no, it was deleted, and I thought, well, I mean, I was top of Reddit for a little bit. That's fine. I don't really mind too much. And then the next day, I woke up again, and I was on top of Reddit again with a completely different post. People misspelled my name. They did all these specifics just
Yes.
so it wouldn't get deleted. And then I dug up my Reddit account, which I hadn't used since. I don't really use Reddit much. I only used it once, 2 or 3 years ago for an AMA when I joined H2K.
Yeah.
And then that's the last time I really used it. So then I had to find the password. I logged in, and then I just put some comments. And I didn't really know how Reddit worked. I thought, seeing as the thread had like 2,000 comments or something, then if I comment, no one's gonna see it.
Yeah.
So I even said like, no one's probably gonna see this, but like, thank you so much, guys, and everything. And then I came back later in the day, and like my Reddit was
It had
it was
gotten
crazy.
upvoted, and yeah.
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 I didn't know that would happen like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess people must have found it down there, and then it's climbed its way up. But yeah, I mean, it's just really cool. I think, it's rare that there are so much of the talent now is like pretty much decided, right? Like most of the people that you see casting have been doing it for a very, very long time. And even like the newer people are generally only several or have already been casting for several years. So I think it's obviously really exciting whenever we find anybody new that's doing this stuff. I guess setting that all aside, what do you think of Worlds so far? I mean, obviously a lot of fans are um, perhaps a little disappointed in the Mad Lions performance because I feel like there were a lot of hype for them. But for you, what are you thinking of plans?
Obviously, I think the 2 biggest disappointments are LGD Mad Lions. I would say the LG has bigger excuses, like they've never played best of ones. They're completely griefing all their drafts. Their gameplay is really bad as well. So
Are those
there's a
excuses?
few. Well, yeah, there's things you can attribute to their
Yeah,
poor
yeah.
play. Obviously, they just played the first best of 5, I think, against Rainbow Seven and just completely stomped. So, well, I wouldn't say completely stomped. It was a 3-0, so on paper it looks like a stomp, but from what I've seen, the games were a little bit close here and there. But in terms of Mad Lions, I just think that the stage thing is kind of biting them in the ass a bit.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like they're performing well on stage. I think Trevor told me yesterday, or Ender, I think there's a stat where they've played 14 games on stage the whole year.
Yeah.
And that's spring, summer, playoffs, and now Worlds. So I think Shadow's definitely underperforming. I think the only real consistent factor I see in Mad Lions is Humanoid winning his lane every game. That's the only real thing that's kind of translated from the end of summer towards Worlds. But they're in their best of 5 right now. We expected the first seeds to make it out of groups. We expected Liquid, LGD, Mad to be the ones advancing from play-ins.
Yeah.
So Liquid made it. So congrats to NA. LGD is on the cusp of making it one more best of 5, I think, and then Mad Lions has to win this one and another one. And then we'll see how the group stage turns out.
Yeah. I guess we'll have
Yeah.
to go. I mean, so I'm kind of curious. I feel like there's the prevailing sentiment among especially the LEC casters is that North America just doesn't have a chance. There's like a pretty big gap between LEC and LCS. Well, I guess first off, how much have you watched the other regions? Maybe both as you're competing yourself and also in preparation for Worlds.
During the summer split, I didn't watch too much NALCS because we were mainly focusing on LPL and LCK and our games. But when we did get knocked out, I watched all of the LCS playoffs, all of the FlyQuest games, TSM, Liquid, C9, all those series.
Yeah.
I felt like the team fightings and the drafts and the meta was just a little bit different to what Europe had. There was a lot less aggression. Like there was teams just picking Rakan, which is kind of translated to Worlds a lot. So the NA meta looks like it was kind of correct. They were just picking Rakan, blind picking it. And then in Europe, if you were to blind pick Rakan versus a team like G2, just an example, I think that you would go down like 20 CS and lose your tower.
Yeah. Well, it's
no
funny
one in NA
because
seemed to do anything about that.
a lot of people were flaming us for picking Rakan, like, haha, look at this.
Yeah.
And then I think, what Mad Lions, I think, was having issues with them or something like that. So it's been kind of
yeah,
funny.
but the tables turned, right?
Yeah.
And now Twitch Rakan is like the best thing in planes right now. So Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say that I was wrong in saying that NA looked poor. I think that some of the macro decisions I saw, like playing over side lanes to contest neutral objectives, wasn't great in the semifinals and stuff from what I saw. But Liquid, like in the play-ins, have played super well. I think, especially their last game against Legacy was just a complete stomp.
Yeah.
I think the thing that separates NA from EU right now in terms of uh, difference in performance is I think NA's meta read is way better than Europe's right now in terms of the play-ins. I think that their team fighting is way better as well, and their identification of win conditions is just so good. So Mad Lions, like they make all these mistakes where they get caught or they just poor drafts or they don't really have a way to win the game. Like you saw in the Liquid versus Mad Lions game, they had like Evelyn into Mordekaiser and then TF. So Evelyn's useless, and Liquid just shut it down like this. As soon as they saw the Evelyn picked, they just instantly locked in champs to deny it. Whereas I think that Mad Lions is not adapting as fast as Liquid is in drafts. So I think huge props to Jet, I suppose. Tactical is stepping up insane amounts for his first Worlds, and the impact buff is on. I don't know. Well played to Liquid, I think. Yeah, I was wrong.
See, and you just threw out all that goodwill that you had with the LEC fans. They were all praising you, and then you just lit it all on fire by praising North America and saying our read on the meta is better. I'm worried whenever I actually feel like it's quite bad because I felt as though people were rushing to like when you look at our stats and you're seeing how slow we play and all the issues that we have. Like I agreed that we were perhaps looking a little shaky heading into Worlds, but I also did not feel like you had all this sentiment like Team Liquid could never make it out of play-ins, or like no EU, all EU teams are better than any LCS team. I'm worried that you guys are swinging the pendulum in the wrong direction with statements like NA has a better read on the meta. Now it's going to be really bad if we get into groups that we don't do as well, because it'll just we won't be able to live up to now your praise.
I did believe Team Liquid would make it out of groups. I think I said it on the first
Groups or
opening
plans?
ceremony, but out of plane,
Yeah.
sorry. I just wasn't sure whether they would finish first seed compared to Mad Lions.
Yeah.
Which they did, so props to them. And then, like you said about the aggression thing, I think that's something that I also doubted about NA teams. I think that they were really slow.
We are, yeah. We're the slowest teams in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then coming into Worlds, the games are just so slow as well. There's some bloodbaths, but the whole concepts of the games are towards Elder Drakes, Barons. It's not like you pick Set and Nautilus and run into their jungle and end in 15 minutes like Europe sometimes does throughout the last couple of years in international tournaments or LPL, where they just rush you down and just try to end the game. But it's a lot more slower, and I think that's what benefited NA a lot. So I don't know. I think everything's coming together well for them. I don't want to jump to conclusion and say NA is going to do really well, and maybe they'll get other groups and maybe they'll make quarters. But it's looking good for them so far in planes. I just hope that the other European teams definitely step up as well, because I've been seeing some things by some of the European players saying they're kind of burnt out or they're having troubles with the quarantine before and the scrim results aren't good. Maybe it's not going to be a good Worlds for us. So I'm kind of worried about that. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you think, do you think it really is the meta that is slowing everything down, or is it just the fact that all these teams are getting onto stage, some in the first time for the first time in a while, and I feel like people tend to play a little bit more cautious, less aggressive whenever they are having a little bit more nerves, or they're just starting to rev up for what Worlds will be. Like I kind of worry we're setting ourselves up for the classic NA week 1, week 2 situation where like week 1 we're doing great because everybody's playing all slow. Week 2 everybody starts to feel comfortable and starts going for tons of early ganks and aggression and fighting and all that stuff, and then we start to slip.
I think there's a couple attributes. I think you're right for sure. I think when it's your first, like when you first come into Worlds, the first couple of weeks, you're obviously going to play way slower. Like for example, NA and EU have been playing from home since the last couple of weeks, couple of months. So being on stage again, obviously there's more nerves. So you don't really want to go for the risky plays. So that's definitely a huge factor. But I think at the current meta state, I think the determining factor of whether the game will be fast or slow is the top jungle. And lots of the junglers being picked are like Graves, Hecarim, Evelyn, Lilia, aren't fast paced. They're not gonna dive you. They're not gonna force things. So they're gonna be quite slow. And then top side, you have all these tanks as well, like the Ornn and stuff like this. So those are also slow paced champs as well. It's not like they have a Jace and they're gonna dive you with Set or something like we've seen in the LCK. So if the meta continues like this, I think it will be slow. But I think teams like Damwon, G2, JDG, and TES, they might throw in their aggression, which we've kind of seen throughout their regional their regional leagues where they pick like Nuguri picks Jace or Camille.
Yeah.
He just dives to level 4 with Kenyon or something, and then top side is completely lost, and the game just snowballs out of control. But I haven't actually seen in play-ins a single game where one lane just determines the whole game in the first 10 minutes and then the game ends. It's so much more team-centric. So yeah, I think there's a couple factors to it, but I think the stage one is definitely a big one.
Yeah, I mean, that is my big concern for North America, because it does feel like we, more than the other regions, play through bot lane, and TSM obviously has Broken Blade, but it is a big question of like if we're just going to start to crumple from the top of the map down if we suddenly have all these like brute force jungle top situations. So I guess we'll have to see how it goes. But other than that, look, I want to get back to the game and watch it. I'm sure you do too. So I won't take your time too much longer. But anything that you want to say to all those people out there that are really excited about you doing this and hoping to hear more?
Yeah, just thank you all for the support. There's been crazy amount of messages. I think there's been so many personalities from so many different regions just messaging me, giving me advice. So shout out to all of them, and thank you so much to the LEC crew especially. I think they've helped me grow so much as a person and a personality as well on the broadcast. And I'm just so grateful for all the kind messages, and it's been crazy the last few days.
Well, we'll see how many kind messages you get after I title this NA is ahead of the meta. Then no more messages. Thank you for the upvotes, though. I appreciate it.
Clickbait.
Well, thanks again for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of Worlds right here on my YouTube channel. Well, it is 7 a.m. The sun just came up, and I am recording this outro while waiting for this Brox interview, and I have no idea whenever it's going to hit. All I'm saying is, look, I'm really excited for Worlds. But the schedule's pretty tough, and I'm really excited to be covering it for all of you. But if you do like this content, it would be very nice of you to go check out my sponsors, Draft Buff and Alienware. There's links in the video description below. Draft Buff has some fantastic games that you can play, and Travis Gafford themed games where you can play with me and compare your drafts to mine. We're going to be doing that throughout Worlds, and then Alienware has some really cool stuff as well. And you can check them out in the description. They've got a discount code if you're looking for one of those new 3000 series NVIDIA cards. And yeah, I guess I'll just be staying up all night, watching. Hopefully our teams do well in the West and the sun come up outside. I'm so tired.